Here we are, back on the exercise bike. As usual, got my lemon and lime beef isolate protein shake with the 10 grams of creatine. This time I will not forget. I know one of you pointed out that I forgot to touch my shake last time, so I've just touched it. Anyway, enough of the weirdness. I won't forget about the shake. Let's start straight off with what are we doing today? Again, using my trusty notepad to remind me old noggin up there what I'm doing. Pause squats, working up to a single at RPE 6, which should be between 190 kilos to 195 kilos. Who knows? Maybe I'll get 200 for a pause squat at RPE 6. Regardless, pausing for 2 to 3 seconds, maybe longer. I might get cocky and try to pause squat 190 for 6 seconds, but 2 to 3 seconds is the optimal amount of time for a paused squat in order to benefit from said exercise. Let's have a look. Followed by bench press, working up to a single at RPE 6. I predict 150 kilos. That is my prediction. I think 150 kilos would be a solid weight to work with. After, excuse me, after the single, the bench press single, I'll be moving on to floor presses, hip thrusts, single leg ham curls, front elevated split squats, dumbbell RDLs, calf raises, and the old Pallof or Pallof presses. I've got a few questions I'm going to cover. One of them is, and I've answered this before, do I have a squat mobility routine? God, I really need to do this because I've been neglecting this for a while now. I'll tell you what, in today's session, I shall include 3 exercises that I do before squats, which I suppose is technically my mobility routine before squats. I do static stretches after squats. I tend to do that if the workout is leg focused, then after the workout. But if it's just squats and then more upper body than lower body, then I'll do it after the squats, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So yeah, I'll include some of the exercises and maybe even some of the stretches I do during today's session. Do I have or can I make a deadlift tutorial unrelated to today's session? Yes, I can. I shall do that the next time I deadlift, which will be, what day are we today? Monday. So Saturday. I might do it earlier. I could do it earlier. It doesn't necessarily mean I have to go into the gym and lift the usual. It could mean that in one of my unrelated deadlifting sessions, I could just load up the bar with a couple of plates and go over it then. If you'd like to see it sooner, feel free to comment below. If not, Saturday. Squat shoes. What squat shoes do I use? Jesus, in the video I posted on TikTok that got just under 700,000 views, I had that question a good 100 times, along with the squat mobility routine. So, the Nike Romeo Freeze, 4s or Freeze, 3 or 4s, I think they're 4s. They're the special edition ones because they come in a cool colour scheme. However, as pretty as they look, I do not recommend them. Why don't I recommend them? Because they are super duper narrow. They squeeze the life out of my foot. They squeeze the life out of my toes. They are terrible for foot health. They do provide great stability, but in terms of the whole, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Benefit to negative ratio, I would say with no disrespect, Nike Romeo 3 or 4s, whatever they are more in the negative for me personally than they are the positive or beneficial side of things. This isn't going to be one of those long-winded cardio sessions that I did last time, which did drag on a bit. This is just going to be about, I don't know, well, 5 to 10 minutes maybe, at most. Anyway, I'm going to start doing question of the clip on TikTok and question of the video on YouTube. I'll take the 2 most liked questions and then I'll address them in the next video. Whether that video be a clip on TikTok or that video be a long video on here, YouTube. That wraps up the notepad. There's not, I didn't jot down loads of things like last time, simply because I just want to crack on with it today. Take another sip of my glorious mixture of protein and creatine. I do believe in my pocket. I have several pockets, so do bear with me. There we go. I was asked by a friend what supplements I take. Now, aside from protein powder, the beef isolate protein powder, the one of which is basically a juice rather than a shake, and creatine, I take at the minute, because it's winter and I live in England, which is dull and miserable usually, apart from today, which is fantastic. So it's not a great example. Vitamin D, I've got medium strength. I've also got high strength. I'm taking the medium strength because this year I've gone out quite often. My job involves getting out of the vehicle several times a day and standing around in the open for a while, so I don't need the high strength, just the medium strength. Just keeps me up. If I don't take vitamin D, I start to feel a little bit down. So that just keeps me from becoming miserable. Let's take that one now. And then folic acid. Why folic acid? Isn't that what pregnant women take? Yes, it is. But there is a genetic disorder in my family. It's hard to explain because I still haven't got my head around it yet, and still investigating it through blood work and other means, or I don't really know what they do. But it's a inability to absorb folic acid. So having a folic acid supplement, for me, although not diagnosed with said genetic disorder, would be rather advisable, because it's not just I who have it, but I believe multiple family members have it. So let's get this folic acid tablet down me. Lovely. I do also have, excuse me, I do also have omega-3s, but the omega-3 tablets that I have at the moment are absolutely gigantic. Every time I swallow one, I feel like I'm playing Russian roulette with my windpipe. So I'm going to go to Holland & Barrett, which is a fantastic little supplement store, and buy myself some of the omega-3 chewies, because I honestly don't want to choke on something that's supposed to benefit me. That would kind of be quite amusing, wouldn't it? Well, I'd find it amusing if I was on the other end, I was looking over my body, and I was like, you idiot, you shouldn't be healthy. Why did you take the omega-3 supplements? You silly boy. Anyway, honestly, let's have a look at what pulse I'm working at right now. Excuse me once more. 110. Very mild cardio. Excuse me again. At a speed of, well, that's unreadable. Again, this thing is 20 years old. Time, 11 minutes 50. And calories, just over 100. So, I have done this cardio fasted. I do my cardio fasted. Why I do my cardio fasted? Because I feel like if I'm going to be momentarily in a calorie deficit, I would rather do my cardio, look at the amount of calories that I have burnt off, and then just add that to my breakfast. Speaking of breakfast, I think another thing that I've been asked a few times now is my diet. What do I eat? I'm assuming when they ask, they mean eat throughout the day. And I could potentially do a day of eating, but today I'm going to throw in my breakfast and my lunch. My breakfast is obviously after cardio, and my lunch is before my workout. Obviously after my workout I'll have dinner and most likely another meal, which would be lighter because that meal would be closer to bedtime. And I don't tend to eat anything heavy near enough bedtime. I'd say around anywhere between 2 to 4 hours before bedtime. I tend to eat very lightly because I don't want it to disrupt my sleep. So yeah, I think let's just jump straight over to my breakfast. Okay, so just before I decide to dump it all in one bowl, we have 75 grams of blackberries and blueberries. A fucking avocado. We've got protein fromage frais and some dark and rich honey. So yeah, that to me is a solid breakfast. I'll show you the Mackies, not McDonald's, macros. That's the macros for the fromage frais. If you want to have a little look at that, you can. So for the whole pot, 54 times 5, that's 250 grams. Well, obviously 54, minus the 4, if you just round it up with a 50. That was too overcomplicated for what it needed to be. Basically, I don't know, 270, maybe 280 grams. On top of that, I don't think this has the macros on it. Oh, it does, they're just very small. So per 100 grams is 329 calories. But obviously, I won't be using that much bloody honey. I'll be using maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons. The avocado packs a punch. Avocados usually have around 300 to 400 calories per avocado. This isn't a very big avocado, so I'm going to assume there's around 200 to 300 calories. Altogether, in total, everything combined, I'm probably looking around 500 to 600 calories, I reckon. So that's not bad, that's not bad. This doesn't include the almonds and cashews I'll be having after this. Obviously, cashews? What? A new nut created by me, Ryan Pricelifts. Grown inside the finest of squat shoes. The ultimate nut. Cashew. Okay, enough jibber jabber. So yeah, nuts obviously contain quite a lot of calories themselves. So I'd say this morning, just before lunch, I'm going to say is 12 o'clock. For me, lunch has always been 12 o'clock. I don't know why. Maybe it's because when I was in school, lunchtime was 12 o'clock on the dot. So as soon as 12 o'clock hit, bang, straight into the fucking lunchbox. Gobble, 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 munch, munch, munch. That lunchbox would also be eaten because I was such a hungry kid. I seriously do need to stop going off track when I'm speaking. I've done this since the dawn of time, and I think I'll do this until the end of time, for me anyway. My brain just doesn't have the ability to follow a straight line. I'm now dragging out a fucking video of my food, just sitting there, waiting to be eaten, whilst I'm standing here, chatting shit, wasting time that I could be spending eating or in the gym training. Anyway, I'll combine this together, eat it up, and then show you my lunch. I almost forgot the secret ingredient. Chia seeds. The macros are on the back here. You can't really see it because it's all bent up in there. Again, another source of high calorie and many healthy fats. I'll have about 15 grams, just to get the scales on. That adds 63 calories to the meal. Oh shit. Don't usually do that. Like, obviously put it in one cluster. But unfortunately, yeah, a bit carried away, I think. Bit more. There we go. Ah, fuck. 16 grams, that's it. I'm going to get fat. Okay, so try not to judge me for this. But I realise, because I've moved into my new place, I don't have pots and pans yet. It's something that I need to go to the store and acquire. But until then, I'm going to have to go for a bowl noodle. I don't know why it's like not bowl of noodles or noodle bowl, but bowl noodle. Maybe it is pronounced noodle bowl. Perhaps the manufacturer who creates these things likes to do it backwards, but in my eyes, I'm going to have a spicy chicken bowl noodle. Brilliant. I'm also going to add some paprika and some turmeric. I'll turn it round. And I'll pick it up, fuck it. That way you can see the macros. Around 432 calories, give or take. It's not the healthiest thing in the world to have. These sort of things do sit in your stomach in a very unhealthy and unnatural way. They do cause digestive issues. However, eating something like this from time to time isn't going to kill you. Unless you have an allergy, then it's probably going to kill you. But if you don't have an allergy and you're having to resort to a bowl noodle, then it is what it is. It's not a great source of protein, but it is a good source of carbs. So to make up for the lack of protein, I'll probably go to the store and pick myself up some chicken legs or something, some freshly cooked chicken legs. Morrison's do some really nice chicken legs. Or maybe even some freshly cooked chicken wings. But yeah, that's my lunch. I don't know if I'll include dinner. We shall see. If I do, then that'll be after training. Speaking of training, okay, so for the first mobility exercise, it's just simply deep squats with a band around me. Let's get nice and deep. Ten more of those, but with a little bit of weight. Right, now that I've fired up the quads and the glutes a little, I'm going to move on to some hip action. Okay, right. Definitely feeling the hips and the glutes firing, which is a good sign. So in the end, I only worked up to 180 kilos. I did that for 2 sets. The first set was a shorter pause than the second set. The second set I paused for about, well, it must have been between 6 to 9 seconds. The first set I only paused for a couple of seconds, maybe 3 at most. Why? Well, today I just didn't feel it. I wasn't feeling as strong as usual. I felt quite achy and sore. I'm not too sure why, but sometimes you just got to go in, train, leave. It may not be the greatest session, but it was a session. And I feel like skipping a session would have only made me feel worse. Okay, so moving on to bench. I'm going to do a couple of bench warm-ups. Should be a lot safer than what I was about to attempt. Just little unilateral flies. I'm telling you what, this band isn't going to last 2 minutes. This will warm up the shoulders and the chest. This helps maintain a level of stability in the shoulders, the arms, the chest and the lats. So like I predicted, I worked up to 150 kilos for a single. Just like the squats, I felt sore, achy, and not 100%. I wasn't as strong as I usually am. Again, you get those days. It is what it is. You just got to get it done. Moving on to floor presses. I haven't done floor presses in many months. The last time I did floor presses was probably about, I don't know, 6 months ago. Why do I do them? Well, for lockout strength. Since the floor press emphasises the top portion of the bench press, it can help improve lockout strength. And technical refinement, or technique refinement. I feel like you really need to control the bar on the way down, otherwise you just lose your stability. So building up those stabilizers and working on the technique, it was quite a nice change. Moving on to hip thrusts. Why have I implemented hip thrusts again? Well, simply because I want to build strength in my glutes, my hips, and my posterior chain in general. In doing so means more power generation, which obviously equals a better squat. Moving on to the single leg hamstring curl. Simply isolating the hamstring, developing the hamstring as a whole, improving any muscle imbalances and building all the stabilizers. These next two exercises, the elevated split squat and the dumbbell RDL, are simply to develop the muscle as a whole. So the split squat is obviously a bit more quad focused, whereas the dumbbell RDLs are more hamstring focused. Those two exercises combined are a pretty damn solid way to build your quads and your hamstrings. These two exercises are also quite functional, meaning that they also work other muscles and stabilizers and all the other important bits like tendons and ligaments.
They strengthen all the areas that you need to have a efficient and effective and powerful squat and deadlift. I think dumbbell RDLs have got to be my favourite hamstring exercise. It's the end of the session, it's the end of the day, so I'll speak to you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.